What?
Do you know what this is?
Podcast 98, Trump 2024.
Do you know what 47 signifies?
The 47th president of the
President.
United States.
Yep.
I'm excited.
So
And before we get hate mail,
we hate.
I don't know what I don't really care what side people are on, but
No.
um, I really wanted Trump to win because a lot of people don't like him because of the way he speaks or talks or whatever. Me personally, it doesn't bother me. I love it, but it offends some people. That's fine. You can be offended, but I looked at the you look at the policies.
Yeah.
What policy is this guy or this woman, whatever, going to does she have, and what do you think is going to be better for the country? And
Right.
I vote that way.
Yep.
That's how I see it. I don't care what he says. I don't care what he does. I don't care what she says, does or whatever. What are the policies? And that's where I voted. So it all worked out,
Yeah.
and end the story.
End of story.
Yep.
Well, let's
So
start some stories.
yeah, we're going to start some stories today. So
Guess what we're
um,
hunting? Guess what we're hunting today?
what are we hunting today? Ooh, bears.
Black bears.
Now
We're
black bears,
we're talking black bears today on the
yeah,
podcast.
black bears to me are spooky. Black bears, they're spooky.
You're scared
Um,
of them.
I am. I don't like bears, but we have two different scenarios here. So I'll admit I know nothing about bear hunting. I went bear hunting one time in Nova Scotia, and I did kill a bear with my bow, and it was a cool experience. I've never went ever again, and I really don't have an interest to go. But
No.
with bear hunting season here in Pennsylvania, majority of our listeners, or a huge chunk of listeners, are from PA. Um, so you are a experienced bear hunter. So this one, you're gonna take the mic on this podcast
I take the mic.
and talk about bear hunting. So I want you to talk about kind of like what bears do, where do you find them, what do they walk trails that's the same that like deer travel on, like the whole nuts and bolts of bear hunting, and I'll describe my bear hunt and why I thought it was cool, but I didn't like it at the same time.
Okay.
So, um, so started out with bear hunting. So,
Want me to start it out, or you
yes, go
starting
ahead.
out?
Well, I can tell you mine. So, real quick, it's short. So, I was invited to go bear hunting up in Nova Scotia. I thought, heck yeah, bow hunting with a bow, or bow hunting bears, would be a cool experience. Never bear hunted a day in my life. I drove up there, checked in with at the time it was with a TV crew that invited me. So I went up there, checked in, it was an outfitter, and the entire hunt, you were set up over bait, and they were putting out barrels of meat. They were using grease, which I asked the guy what the purpose of the grease was, and it's the purpose of that was the bears step in it and then they can track it through the woods. So then other bears, cross that path and they can trace it back to the bait site.
Mhm.
So your stand and stuff, you were literally hunting over drums of meat and just, I mean, it was like donuts and all this stuff. And I saw a lot of bears. I think it was like the fourth day I shot my bear with a bow, 20 yards, made a video out of it. It got like 40,000 views on YouTube. This is probably like 8 years ago. But I didn't like it because one, it was hunting over the bait thing. I mean, I'm not against that for like deer hunting. I don't know. It was just really weird hunting the bears over the bait. And then the meat, I didn't like the meat at all. It was just I tried cooking it multiple different ways and it was just nasty. Um, and I ever since then I just have no interest in bear hunting. None, zero whatsoever. That's it. I have no interest in bear hunting. I think they're cool animals. I like to see them in the wild. I like that. They are spooky. They're creepy. They creep around. Um, I see them on my farm and like once or twice a year. I'll see one coming through, and it is walking on a deer trail.
Mhm.
Like where I have trails. For deer, they walk along that same path. End of story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about bear hunting.
So I'm here to make bear hunting great again.
Okay, do it.
I've been elected.
Oh, you do that, but I want to pull up this record book because it's got bears in there, and I
Okay.
want to I want to read you the Maryland state record uh,
Okay.
for bear hunting. So talk about that, and I'll look
Okay.
this up
So
real quick.
so here's how I got into bear hunting. Just let me explain. Uh,
Let them
kind
explain.
of kind of the same way you said. I some people were talking about it, and I thought, wow, this would be cool to bow hunt and to kill a bear, especially in Pennsylvania, because in Pennsylvania you can't use scents or baits. So back back in the day, which I really haven't been bear hunting that long, actually. I think what was it, 2011 or 12 was the first time I gave it a whirl, and that first year, what I was doing was trying to uh, watch videos about bears. I was reading content about bears, and at the time that Blaine Anthony was on a lot, and he had that Bear Whisperer show, and and that was probably a bad thing because I started watching these shows, and he had this like he's gotten attacked twice, I guess. Like the bear ran him over two times, two different instances where he got nailed and knocked to the ground by bears and things. And then he had an episode on the very day I went out and shot that bear. I can't do this. That bear right there. The very day I shot that bear, I was watching one of his episodes before I went out to hunt, and it was one where they were calling in bears. They were probably in Canada or somewhere like that where the bears are more responsive, but they was making like predator calls or something, and they was calling bears to the call, and this bear came in and dang near mauled them. And now I'm out in the woods thinking, what am I gonna do if a bear comes in, and I'm here with a sharp stick in a string. But it happened that night for me. Um, what I did is I had been scouting for a while in this area, and I had seen bears in the area while turkey hunting in the spring times and things. So I knew bears were there, and so I had gotten some trail cameras, and I put some trail cameras out during the summer trying to catch their movement, and I got a couple pictures here and there, and then I got the bright idea, why not try to put some scent out for them and really narrow this down? So I went into their core area, what I thought was their core areas, and I started like doing stuff like, I like would buy a jar of peanut butter and smear it on a tree bark like 6, 8 feet in the air, and I knew that would waft through the woods, and they would get a good whiff of that and follow and come to that. And I had the camera right there on it, and so I was getting pictures of bears on peanut butter, and then I was trying like log cabin, like pancake syrup. I put some of that out on a log, and they come and they lick that all off. So I was trying all these different things just to see what would attract them. I even did something so weird as buying a can of snuff that was
Mm.
grape flavored, and I dumped a can of snuff on a log and put the camera on it, and the bear came and ate the snuff. But I smelled somebody with this grape snuff, and I thought, man, that is really strong. So wonder if a bear would come to that. So that's why I tried. But
You know what
anyhow,
they were using up in Canada was butterscotch.
really, so butterscotch and like cherry is popular. Um,
Vanilla, I think, maybe.
black licorice,
Mm.
black licorice. Uh, I mean, there's all kind of flavors. There's berry and
But I guess let's be clear. In PA, you can't bait bears, right, to
Can't
hunt.
use anything.
Not even on private land.
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
All right.
So I went out the night I killed that bear above my head. Like I said, I watched Blaine, freaked myself out, and then went out to hunt. That was dumb. And so I went
Spooky.
into an area where I knew they were because I found piles of scat in this area. And right at dark, I thought I was all spooked out, and like it was getting dark, and I thought, what if a bear comes in now? Oh, I'm gonna be scared. And I started letting the bow down. I let the bow down about 3 feet on my string out of my stand, and I looked up, and there was a bear coming. So I pulled the bow back up, and I got ready. And long story short, the thing comes in, and it's walking up a tram road, and it's walking right in front of me. And just about the time I got the arrow about halfway back, the sixth sense kicked in. I don't know if he smelled me, heard me, seen me. I have no idea. But the funny thing about a bear is when they're right beside you like that and you spook them, they will run out there 20, 25 yards, stop and turn around and look back. I can almost guarantee it. Almost every time that's what happens. So keep that in mind if you're hunting and you know, you don't get that shot right away. Go ahead, draw the bow, and get ready because they're probably going to run out there and stop. And that's what happened that night. This bear ran out there, stopped, and turned around to try to see what just spooked him. And I nailed him with a rocket through the last rib and out the armpit of the other side. And he run down over the hill and crashed. So that's how I got that guy.
Now, when you killed the bear,
Yes.
all they talked about in Canada when I went was the death moan.
Yep. I've killed 3 bears, never had a death moan.
Okay, so when I killed
Never.
mine, it moaned 3 times,
Okay.
and that's what they told me it would do. It would
Okay.
moan, it would run, crash, I guess, and go whatever. It was a weird,
Yeah.
freaky moan, but it did it 3 times,
Okay.
and then that's when they told me that it'll do, and it would be dead.
Nope. None of my bears did that, but I was in the woods where somebody shot one on the same hillside I was on, but a couple hundred yards away, and I heard the thing do the death moon. But this dude freaking butchered this thing. He shot it up the rump, all kind of stuff.
Right.
He hit it like 4 times. I think it was just moaning in pain. But no, he actually did kill it, and they
So how many bears have you killed?
3,
3.
3.
That one in the picture
Yep.
behind you is the biggest one, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest one with a
So
vertical bow, and I shot one with a crossbow. And then, what was it? 3 years ago now, I shot one with a rifle. I think it was 3 years ago now.
probably,
I
yeah,
shot one with
probably
a
3 years
rifle.
ago.
Yeah.
So what was I guess the score goes by the skull size, right?
Yes, yes. After the drying time,
Yep.
you set the skull down on a flat surface, and you measure it from the tip of the jaw to the rear of the skull
Okay, so what
lengthwise, and then
yep.
you turn it sideways and you measure it from side to side. And I used a couple of squares and measured in between the squares, but the game commission came and scored that bear. I keep pointing the wrong way. The game commission come and scored that, and they had a pair of big calipers
Mhm.
that
So what was it?
they could use. So my bear, that bear right there in that picture was the biggest one that I got. That one scored 19 and an eighth.
Okay.
That's in the Pope and Young record book,
Okay, so I got the Maryland record book and
the
I
Maryland record.
just found bears. I was
Okay.
curious. Um it said the state record was killed in 2012. It was 22 and 1/16.
Mm,
And
that's big.
I just read a quick thing about Maryland black bears was pretty cool. It said black bear hunting in Maryland was dormant for 51 years. So
Mm,
it says no such hunt has taken place in Maryland since 1953. The hunt would open back up by a lottery system. Hunters had to put in for lottery or whatever. And then this guy got drawn in 2012. Um, and then there was 4,000 applicants, but they only gave out 340 permits
oh
issued.
wow.
Um,
Does it say how big the kill was?
however, only 92 bears were taken in the
92.
5-day season.
It's
How big
pretty
what
good.
was?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Oh,
That's
yeah, it
pretty
was
good
90.
amount.
That was in
92
20.
out of 340. That's pretty good.
That was 2012. I don't know what it is now, but
Yeah,
um,
it's a pretty
yeah.
good
So
kill.
the state record's 22 and a 16th.
Yeah, but what's the next? What's the next biggest? Is it
The
listed?
Yeah. So the next one would be
It's
uh
probably a big gap.
goes 22 and a 16th, and then the next one down would be 21 and 10 sixteenths, 21 8 sixteenths, 20 and 11 sixteenths, and then I guess the smallest that they have in here is 17 and 0 sixteenths.
Okay,
Um, so
17. See, in PA, I guess has their own little record book thing,
mhm,
and I think it's you have to get 17 to get into the PA record book, and then to get Pope and Young, which is a trophy that you've shot with your bow, it has to be 18 inches.
mm,
But like I said, mine scored 19 and an eighth, so or 2/16. They say 16ths. I don't know why, but yeah, it was a good one.
that's
Good.
the guy there, state
That's the
record.
guy. 22-inch skull, huh? That's big.
Yeah, so right
Big.
there.
And the funny thing was, is they tried to tell me my bear, because they pull a front, what they call a milk tooth, and they saw it, count the rings like you do in a tree. And they tried to tell me my bear was less than 3 years old.
Hmm.
3 years or less old is what they said. And you was with me when we was at the Harrisburg show, and we walked up to my buddy. Well, I call him my buddy, but he's a Facebook buddy. That Gary guy, the one that you was going to get the moose hunt through.
Mm,
Um,
yeah, in
his
Maine.
wife, yeah, up in Maine, and he said, and he used explicit words and said, "No way, a bear, 300 pounds plus with a skull,
Can't be
19
that young.
inches." He said, "That's no way it's that young. It has to be older." And his wife was a game commission from Maine, sitting right next to him, and she said, "Yeah, no way. I agree with him. No
Hmm,
way." So who knows? I don't know.
yeah.
But
So,
so number two, bear number two,
yeah.
you talk about spooky. I was on the ground with a crossbow
Mm,
up against a tree like I was turkey hunting. And the bear came down the trail that I just came in on 10 minutes after I sat down. That's spooky. Now, someone said, "Oh, it was hunting you." No, it was just a coincidence. That bear just
yeah,
came
yeah,
down there,
right.
it just came down there and offered me a shot, and I
Mhm.
schwacked it. I had a schwacker on. But, yeah,
S
schwacked it,
so
and
with
they
these bears, I'm curious. I'm dumb. I know nothing about bear hunting. So where are they traveling,
okay.
and what are they doing during the day?
They they are laying around like the deer lay up,
Yep.
and it seems like they use the same environment. They like it they like it deep, thick, wet, dark. They like it rhododendron. They like to be in the rhododendron.
What are they feeding on?
They are opportunistic in nature, and they like a lot of the same things the deer do.
So
They'll eat
acorns,
acorns, berries,
briars,
uh,
bushes, leaves.
berries on the briars.
Yep.
Um, I've seen them eat grass. Um, they will travel. I mean, that's another thing. They don't have a home range like a deer. Like a deer, you can kind of pattern somewhat. Bears are a lot harder to pattern. Their circle's much larger. I
Mm.
mean, like they'll have a home range of like 50 miles.
Well, I'm asking these questions because if somebody's new to bear hunting or something and they're going out,
Sure.
they can use this.
Well, you probably can't tell in the picture, but this bear has ear tags,
Hmm.
and The tags are meaning that it's been trapped and transferred, so that it was a nuisance bear at some point, that it must have been getting into garbage or something. And what they do is they put a tag in each ear of a bear when they catch it. Now people think because they have a tag in each ear, they think, oh, it's been caught twice. No, it's been caught once. It can be caught twice. Don't get me wrong, but it 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 was caught once, and they tag both ears just in case they tear one out. So they put a tag in each ear. Because they have a tendency to be able to get a claw under it and rip it out. But yeah, it was tagged and transferred, and I got that information also from this bear, and they trapped that bear and transferred it almost 50 miles away. And 28 days after they transferred it, I shot that bear out of the township it was trapped in.
Hmm.
Isn't that freaky? They
Mm-hmm.
took it 50 miles away and it came back.
Found its
These
way back.
bears have a built-in GPS. I kid you not. If you don't take a bear more than 50 some miles away, 50 plus miles, they will find their way back.
Hmm.
It is crazy. It is
That's
literally
pretty cool.
crazy. Because we had one at our old camp. I think I took you over and showed you the old cabin we
Mm-hmm.
used to have. Well, they trapped and transferred a big bear out of there. It was like 400 or 500 pounds, and the neighbor guy was feeding it and all. So they trapped it out and took it out of there. But they didn't take it far enough. The thing was back in a week.
Jeez.
They trapped and transferred it. The thing was back in a week. But yeah, pretty neat stories. But
Um.
yeah, you had said about trails, you know, um, there's a couple ways you can. The main thing about trails, like a lot of people are like, well, how do you differentiate a deer trail from a bear trail? Okay. Um, I did say that they aren't necessarily in the same area all the time. I did say that. But there are some that do frequent the same areas a lot. So that being said, there was a this one piece of property I hunted. There was an area where there was like it was like sort of a clearing in the middle of the woods, and a couple of little trees fell over. And so like you could see the pad marks when a bear walks down a trail. If it frequents that trail, it usually puts its feet in the same exact spots if he uses that trail that frequently. And you could see the pad marks going out through the moss. Everywhere there was a log, like he stepped over it and put his one paw. And that's another thing. When deer walk, they a lot of times they walk wherever their front foot hits, the rear one hits the same exact spot.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're tracking a bear, it just looks like two prints. Two prints, two prints, two prints. It don't look like when a dog walks. It got all four going at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, the bear's hind legs usually fall in the front foot's print. Is that clear
So.
as mud?
Yep.
Okay.
So. So where are they? Where are they bedding at during the day?
So they like it low. Um, they like it low. They like depressions in the ground. Um, behind a big log or in a brush pile. Rhododendron, thick stuff's good. They like that stuff. Um, they like to be near water to drink. That's why I hunt them over the river.
Catch fish.
Yeah, they can catch a fish if they have to, or if they're skilled enough.
So
Uh,
t- tell me if you've heard this. So when
okay.
I was in Canada,
Hmm.
I went in June because that was the mating season.
Yeah,
Was in
June
June.
and July.
Yep. I think I was there like the first week of June. Um, they told me that the meat at that time of year is terrible.
Correct.
And if you hunt them in the fall and kill one in the fall, the meat tastes better because
It does.
they know they're going into hibernation, so they have to change their diet and they
They
eat a
do.
more cleaner diet, fish,
They do.
berries, and things, and the meat tastes better.
They do. That is true.
All
True
right.
statement. Yep. That is a true statement. And that's one thing Pennsylvania does not have a spring hunt,
Mm.
and actually, I think they would get a better kill if they opened that up.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think,
if they're
because
in heat.
they're coming out of the den. Yeah, they're coming out of dens, around turkey season, and that's when I see a lot in the spring. And yeah, they're going into heat. So, like, if they allowed you to use scent and have a spring hunt and all that, they would get a better kill. So,
Maryland doesn't have a spring hunt either. It's only in the fall, and like I said,
mhm.
it's through a lottery system.
So
So
I guess I didn't finish my statement. I guess I got into how do you differentiate the paths, and one of the ways is, and I started to say about the tracks. Um, the Anybody that's walked on a deer trail that was heavily used, usually it's wore down to the dirt and it's all cut up. The hoof prints cut it all up. Well, a bear trail will be real smooth, like somebody
mm,
rolled it with a lawn roller, because they're big padded feet, you know, pads it all down, and it don't mud, it doesn't really make mud prints or anything, unless they're playing in a mud puddle or drinking from
hmm
a mud puddle. But yeah, that's one way you can tell a bear trail from uh from the deer trail. Another way is, well, obviously, if you're finding scat, and you know when you find a pile of scat, you know if it's from a bear or not. You know, it's usually bigger than human, and normally full of seeds or bird feed that they raided from the neighbor's yard, their
hmm
feeder or something. And that's where I was getting at, was saying about how big their home range is, because they know where to get a meal, and they have a good memory, and if they know an easy meal somewhere, they will keep making their rounds and hitting that. And it's crazy around here, like, if there's a bear in our area, somehow they know or can smell that it's garbage night. When people Garbage pickups Monday morning, and people always set their garbage out on Sunday night, and it gets obliterated. And
They smell it, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And the thing is, they they set this stuff out and give the bears time to get a whiff of it and come in. But a lot of times it's raccoons too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, coons and cats are tearing up the garbage, and that's one way you can tell, is if they've tore the garbage up right where you set it at. If it's just torn up and there's stuff laying around it, yeah, that's usually a coon or a cat. If it's tipped over the can and drug it across the road over into the woods and destroyed it and spread it all out in a 10-foot radius, that was a bear.
hmm
You know, a bear doesn't usually sit there and just pick it apart and look at it and take what it wants. Nah, he grabs the whole bag and drags it off or carries it off, and then just annihilates it.
Spooky, man, spooky.
Yep, yep.
Bears, middle of the night, walking
What else?
outside.
What else can we go over?
Well, I got one story, and then uh, I think it's funny, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
But probably 15 years ago, I'm not going to mention the name, but this old taxidermist I used to use, um, he did taxidermy on bears. Um, I think, and he used to work out of his house at one point. So I don't know what happened. He took the bear. I think it was like the bones or something. He drug it off into the woods somewhere, or I can't,
Mhm.
or something happened. Well, somebody found the bear in the woods, and it was just bones, and they thought it was human.
Ah,
So they called the police, and the police came out, investigated, and everything. It was a bear. But I guess when the anatomy or the bone structure or whatever looks very identical to humans.
Huh.
So
Never
I don't know.
never thought about it.
Yeah, but yeah. So I thought that was funny that when he was telling me that story, he's like, yeah, they thought it was a human. They call they called the police, and maybe there's a taxidermist that listens to this, and maybe he can verify that. But
Maybe.
that's what I was told, is that um, it's very similar to human.
Huh. Never thought about it. Now
All right.
there's one more thing before we wrap it up I want to talk about is if you're scouting for bear,
Hmm.
obviously you're looking for trails, you're looking for scat. That's a big
Hmm.
tip off. And small pine trees that are
Mm.
5, 6, 7 foot tall that the top 2 or 3 feet's busted off and laying there beside the tree. And the reason that is the bear will mark territory. The bear will put its back up to a pine tree like it's scratching its back, and it'll rub all his scent all over that little pine tree. And then what they do is they turn around and they reach back and they bite the top of the tree right off. Why? I'm not sure. That's how they mark their territory. Like a buck pees in a scrape, a dog pees all over everything, a coyote pees all over everything. The bear, for some reason, puts his scent on that tree and then reaches back and bites that off, snaps it off, and drops it.
Hmm.
So if you're walking through a bunch of little pine trees and you see a bunch of little pine trees with the top snapped out of them laying there all over the place, you're probably in bear territory.
Spooky. Time to get
Yeah,
out of there.
yeah. I don't know if you remember, but last year on Instagram, I took a picture of a tree like that. You can go over to my Instagram and I show you a picture of the pine tree and I show you a picture of the top tore out of it. Then I show you a real close up. You can see black fur all in the pine needles of
Hmm.
the tree. And what it was that bear gets in there and he puts his scent all over it, scratches his back, and then he reaches over and snaps that top out. And the place I hunt, even for bucks over on the mountain, there's a bunch of them
Hmm.
laying all over the place. So I know
That's cool.
bears are still around.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if anybody knew that because the kid at work just he he had a trail camera picture of this big pine tree top that was out in the middle of his field, and then the next picture he had was a bear dragging this pine tree top behind him, and he's like, "Why?" He's like, "You hunt bears, and I wanted to bring this to you and see if you've ever seen a bear play with a bear with a top of a spruce tree like this." And I said, "No, he's not playing with it." I said, "He's marking his territory." He said, "What?" And I told him that story.
Hmm.
Not story, but I told him that incident. What
Yeah.
they do. That's how they mark their territory. I said,
Yeah.
"Now why he was dragging it around, I have no idea, because usually they just bite it off and let it drop." So that deposits their saliva, the saliva on it for scent there, and then they have their scent from rubbing all over, and it leaves some fur behind. So, yeah, that's how they mark.
I need you to shoot me a bear so I can get a bear rug made.
Yeah, I give you my old rug I got out in the
I want a bear rug.
in the
Actually, you know what? Maybe one day I will shoot another bear so I can have a bear rug. But it's very expensive because they charge it by foot.
yeah,
I looked
yeah. They're
into it. It's they charge it by the foot, so it's be very expensive.
well. I can. 2 weeks ago, I had those 4 bears under me
Mm.
before archery came in.
Mhm.
And it's in till the Saturday, November 9th in PA with the bow, and then it'll come in. I think it's Saturday the 23rd with the gun in November. So who knows? I might get you a bear rug
Yeah, I would
because I'm
love a
not doing
bear.
anything with it.
Well, give me the I will whatever we got to do to get it transfer. I don't whatever you got to do.
I'll roll it up and freeze it.
Yeah,
I'll
there you
bring
go.
it to you at the Harrisburg show.
There you go.
Bring a cooler.
Yep. I want a bear rug.
I gave the last one away.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, one of the guys that helped me drag. There was 3 guys that helped me drag that bear, and the one guy's big into late season flintlock, and
Hmm.
he wanted to make a possibles bag out of it. You know what I mean by possibles bag? You know, the guys carry all their powders and balls
Yep.
and all that stuff in there, patches and everything in that bag. And he wants to make a possibles bag out of it.
That's cool.
So I gave it to him.
Yeah.
I said,
I'll
"Yeah,
take
that's the least I can do for helping me get this thing out of here."
Yeah, I'll take
You
it.
know. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll shoot you one.
Yeah, please do.
Now the meat, like you were saying, like that big one I shot there, it spoiled out. I shot through that bear. It was a 62-degree day. The bear crashed, and I, of course, was calling people to try to help me. And they were like, you shot it with a bow. I'm not going in after a wounded bear after you shot it with a bow. We'll wait till morning, blah, blah, blah." So I went back in the morning with a pistol and I found it. It was dead, and it bled so much internally, it just cooked it, spoiled it out. It stunk so
Mhm.
bad. Oh, was it horrible? But that last one I got with the gun, I figured that was probably a 2 or 3 year old bear,
Mhm.
and it was only like 170 pounds or something like that. Boy, that was good eating. It tasted just like venison.
Hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So they all don't taste nasty. It depends on what they've been eating and how long they've been cleaned out.
Right. Yeah.
So, but
All
hey,
right.
that's a podcast about bears. I have so much more information if people are interested. Drop some comments or questions down below, and I will answer some bear questions.
Sounds good.
Okay,
We'll
guys.
see everybody on
See you on
99.
99.
Yeah,
We're getting
99.
close to 100. What are we gonna do for 100?
I told you it's a secret. I can't tell you.
Give away $100?
Negative.
Okay. See
All right.
y'all.
Later.
Bye.